Anomalocaris. It was one of the first large predators to ever swim in the ocean, living roughly 520 million years ago during the Cambrian period. For its time, it was enormous, reaching about a meter in length in a world where most creatures were the size of a fingernail. It had two large grasping arms at the front of its head, and circular, spiny jaws it used to crush prey. Scientists once found its parts separately and thought they were three different animals entirely, only realizing later they all belonged to the same creature. It dominated early ocean life the way no animal had done before it. Eurypterid. Often called sea scorpions, these animals lived between roughly 450 and 250 million years ago, and some of them grew to terrifying sizes. The largest species, Helicoprion, reached nearly 8 feet long, making it one of the biggest arthropods to have ever existed. They were built like scorpions' jointed legs, armored bodies, and a long, tapering tail, and many were active hunters. Some species lived in shallow coastal waters, others in freshwater. When the mass extinction at the end of the Permian period hit, their entire group was wiped out. Dunkleosteus. It lived around 360 million years ago, during the late Devonian period, and it was among the most powerful biters the ocean has ever produced. It had no teeth in the traditional sense. Instead, its jaws were formed from two interlocking blades of bone that sharpened themselves against each other every time it closed its mouth. Estimates suggest the bite force was comparable to a large crocodile. The head and front of its body were encased in thick, armored plates, while the back half was soft and cartilaginous. It grew to around 20 feet in length and was the apex predator of its time. Helicoprion. This was a shark-like fish, but its most distinctive feature was unlike anything in the ocean today. It had a spiral of teeth in its lower jaw, a coiled whorl that looked something like a circular saw, and for over a century, scientists debated where exactly this structure sat in the animal's body. Modern imaging technology finally confirmed it was located in the throat region of the lower jaw. It lived around 290 million years ago, and likely used that unusual structure to trap and slice soft-bodied prey like squid. Nothing quite like it has evolved before or since. Cambrian. It was a cephalopod, related to modern squid and nautilus, but it lived inside a long, straight, conical shell that could reach over 30 feet in length, making it one of the largest animals of its time. It lived roughly 470 million years ago, during the Ordovician period. Like a modern nautilus, it used jet propulsion to move through the water, pulling prey toward its tentacles. It had no backbone, no sophisticated senses, just size and reach. When you picture the ocean that far back in time, this was the creature sitting at the top of it. Ammonite. These marine invertebrates first appeared around 400 million years ago and survived until the same mass extinction event that killed the non-avian dinosaurs. Their coiled shells are among the most commonly found fossils on Earth, found on every continent. Inside the shell, chambers of gas gave them buoyancy control, and they used tentacles to feed. Some species were small enough to fit in your palm, while others grew to 6 feet across. They were so abundant and so widespread that geologists use their fossils today as reference points to date rock layers around the world. Ichthyosaurs. Similar to Cambrian, but smaller and far older in its origins, this straight-shelled cephalopod lived from roughly 470 million years ago onward. Its fossils are exceptionally well preserved in limestone, which is why polished Ichthyosaurs fossils are still sold in markets around the world today. It moved slowly, hunting smaller invertebrates in shallow seas. Hundreds of millions of years of evolution have passed since it disappeared, yet the basic cephalopod body plan it represented still survives in octopuses and squid. It is a quiet reminder of how successful that basic design turned out to be. Ichthyosaur. These were air-breathing marine reptiles that appeared around 250 million years ago, shortly after the worst mass extinction in Earth's history, and they thrived for over 150 million years. They looked remarkably like dolphins, streamlined bodies, a dorsal fin, a forked tail, but they were reptiles, not mammals. The resemblance to dolphins is a famous example of convergent evolution, where unrelated animals develop similar shapes because the ocean rewards the same design. Some species were enormous, with the recently described Symbospondylus reaching nearly 60 feet in length. They gave birth to live young in the water and never came ashore. Nothosaurus. It was a semi-aquatic predator, spending time both in water and on land, and it represents an early transitional stage before fully marine reptiles took over the seas. It lived during the Triassic period, around 240 million years ago. Its long neck, needle-like teeth, and webbed feet made it well adapted to chasing fish in coastal waters. It was not the largest animal in the ocean, but it was agile and built for ambush. Many scientists see nothosaurs as evolutionary relatives, not ancestors, but close cousins of the later plesiosaurs.